and welcome to Kevin Gayden Photography. This is Kevin Gayden. We've come upon the season where it's fun to go out to the zoos, go to aquariums, which means you're going to be shooting through a lot of glass. It's also vacation time, going to museums like, I don't know, the Smithsonian in DC. There's going to be a lot of glass that you're going to be wanting to shoot through, and we're going to discuss how to do that effectively. There's a lot of methods people will tell you to use, circular polarizers, lens hoods, and whether or not to use flash. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to address I'm going to show you examples of all those processes and the outcomes that you'll get with them. In addition, I'm also going to give a brief tutorial on how I photograph fish in my home aquarium to get the best possible results, and at that point we'll be touching on keeping your flash at right angles to your subject matter. Everything will be explained through the demonstrations of the different lighting techniques and the different techniques used, and we'll do a little review of the pictures taken with those techniques. First off, though, I'd like to show you the equipment we used in this video.
First, a on-flash beauty dish. We are also using a pair of Cowboy Studios wireless radio transmitters. We also used a Nikon SB600 flash, a Canon 430EX2 flash, a Canon 35mm 2.0 lens with hood, and I used for this video my Canon 1D Mark II because that camera is the best camera I have for focusing in low light.
Here we are. Again, I said that the easiest way to shoot aquariums, if you're shooting a home aquarium, is to shoot with a flash, but to a right angle. Right now I have my camera set at shutter speed of 200, which is the maxing speed for this flash, and I have an aperture of 5.6 so that I can get a good depth of field. You can notice here that we're not using an actual aquarium, we're using an empty one because the aquarium that I have filled is very low to the ground and difficult to shoot into. I'm using one shot here because I'm using a stationary target, but as I discussed earlier, if this were actual fish, I would be using an AI servo and a central focusing point. Now, like I said, I'm going to be using the method where I put the lens hood itself up to the glass to take the picture, and we'll go ahead and take that picture.
Here we have first the raw, and now the edited version of the image taken with top-down lighting with the camera at a right angle to the light source. Notice how we get a general overall good quality of light from a top-down shot.
I've gone ahead and we're going to try an experiment using an on-camera flash right here, but we're going to use again the method of placing your lens hood up against the glass to eliminate any reflections and to minimize any misfocusing from marks on the glass. As you can see, there are some here.
Notice that in both the raw and even the edited image, this leaves a large specular highlight behind the subjects, which isn't necessarily a problem if you were in an aquarium that didn't have a glass back, like in an actual pay for you to go to aquarium. But in a home aquarium, this becomes a problem if you don't have anything to break up that specular highlight.
Now, this next test is a test of just the lens hood. We have a 35mm lens on this camera, so we're shooting 2.0, which is a little bit shallow of a depth of field for what you'd optimally like to be taking, especially for moving targets in a fish tank. And we slow down to a 30th of a second, and we're shooting at 1600 ISO, which isn't really that optimal for fish tanks, but we're trying to simulate what it would be like to have a low light fish tank that you're trying to shoot at like a zoo, where you don't have the luxury of adding a flash. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this picture.
Notice that in both the raw and edited version of this photo, we have a nice general look as far as colors go, as far as quality of light goes. The problem, though, is that if you'll notice, the larger subject's right arm is the only thing that's really in focus, and that's the problem that you're going to run into shooting at the aperture of f2 in these low light situations. And that's why you want to end up pushing your ISO and lowering your shutter speed to get the best or the highest possible f-stop so that you can get a better depth of field.
This last test, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be shooting the same thing, but we're going to be shooting it with a circular polarizer on the front of the lens, because I'm pretty sure you can see reflections of everything in this fish tank. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the circular polarizer. By the way, this circular polarizer that I'm using is a Sunpack, the kind that you can get from Best Buy. So it's not the best in the world, but the idea is that we don't all live, you know, in an area like mine that has 3-4 professional camera shops within an hour of here. Some of us have none, and if the only place you can get a circular polarizer is Best Buy, that was the point of this whole experiment.
Now you can see in both the raw and the edited version of this photo, it's very difficult to use the polarizing filter to get rid of all the reflections, because, again, polarizing filters, just like the light source, works on the angle of the reflection to the glass, and if the angle of reflection is, or refraction in the case of circular polarizers, is not conducive to what the circular polarizer can do, you're basically stuck with whatever's on that glass. Now, you might have to take my word for it, because I don't know how large this is going to come across on your screen, but this picture was taken at the Toledo Zoo, and if you zoom in and do a 1-to-1 ratio, you can actually see all the little hair-like structures in the gill of this fish. This was, again, taken with the camera against the glass and using the lens hood to minimize both reflections and minimize the misfocusing on the scratches on the glass. Finally, here's a picture of a Geophagus Ultrafont from my own tank, taken with the right angle light technique and the lens hood against the glass technique. I hope what I've set out to teach you today is something that you've taken to heart, that flash isn't always a no-no with shooting through glass. It's just a matter of controlling the highlight from the flash onto the glass. I hope I've also taught you a little something about the angle of refraction of light through water and on glass, and how sometimes a circular polarizer won't help you at all, but keeping your flash at an angle so that it doesn't reflect back into the lens itself can be beneficial in the situation. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave your questions, comments, like the video. Thank you once again. This has been Kevin Gaden for Kevin Gaden Photography.